I was pretty much alone working in the studio for the 4 weeks, and that's when I started sketching, taking my sketchbook all over the place, trying to think what was the idea, what could Marfa inspire me, right? And I thought it was going to be the desert. I thought it was going to be the landscape, the colors. But after 3 days, I started noticing that time completely started slowing down. It was amazing because here at home, I'm used to like waking up really early, taking my daughter to school, starting to work, and I have a meeting, etc. And everything goes really fast. But there, all I had to do was make art.
All right, episode 8 of Long Form Conversations. So today I spoke with Manuel Lariño, who's a Spanish long-form generative artist who just had a release on ArtBlocks called Gift of Time, which I think really struck a chord with the blockchain art community. So in this episode, we speak about that project. We talk about his experience completing the Marfa residency with ArtBlocks last year. We touch on his background, how he got into the space, and some of his past releases, as well as general opinions and thoughts about the space. So this was a really fun episode. I really enjoyed speaking with him, and hope you enjoy. Hey guys, before we jump in, I just wanted to mention that I am planning on releasing my first ever photography collection soon. So my background in photography spans over 20 years, and over the last few years in particular, I've been compiling some photos that I think is pretty much ready to share with the community at this point. So if you're interested in learning more, or you want to support me with the release of this collection, please feel free to send me a message, and I'll be sharing more details soon. So thank you very much. So before we jump in, none of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment and information purposes only. Please take everything with a grain of salt and do your own research. More information can be found in the podcast episode description below. Manuel, thank you so much for making the time to come on the podcast. It's awesome to see you. It's been a while. Last time I saw you was in Marfa. So how's it going, man? How you been?
It's been really good. I mean, especially this past 2 weeks, it's been pretty crazy.
For sure. So we're going to jump into that. Obviously, you're talking about Gift of Time. You just had this release, this long form generative release with ArtBlocks. And I want to jump into that very soon. But before jumping into that, I just want you to maybe speak a little bit about your academic and professional background, your experiences kind of before, kind of leading up to the more recent years of releasing your works with ArtBlocks.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I studied fine art in Florida. But before that, I was always interested in art. My mother was a fashion designer. She studied in New York. She's from Brooklyn, and so I think that from her, I got into something more artistic. So when I was young, I always liked record covers. Record covers, graphic design, and that's how I got into art. Not by looking at painters. It was more looking at graphic design and record covers and packaging. And when my friends started learning how to play guitar and all that, I started learning how to draw because I liked the covers, of the bands. And yeah, when I was 18, I decided. First, I went to business school because I didn't really know where to study art. But 2 years in, I decided that quit and to go study fine art. And I went to New Jersey. I went to study drawing and cartooning at the Joe Kubert School. It's a comic book school run by Joe Kubert. He's a comic book legend, but I wasn't that into comic books to go to a comic book school, but it's like a drawing boot camp. You like really really hard, and you learn so much. You know, in 1 year I learned so much from like perspective and drawing, and it was great. It was great. And after that, I went to the Ringling College of Art and Design in Florida, and that's where I got my BFA in fine art and illustration. And that's really like really short because this is a long path. But how I got into fine art and illustration when I got out of college.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask a follow up on that. So because I feel like for most people, if you complete like a like a BFA, let's say, and you're spending a lot of time focusing on sketching and drawing and that kind of that kind of focus, there's a pretty substantial jump to someone then creating these
Yeah,
algorithms that are
I know,
why
I
don't you
know.
just also bridge the gap there as
Yeah.
well because
Well, that bridge is
I'm
long, many years in between, right?
yeah, right.
When I was in college, I was drawing and painting. Like my illustrations were acrylic paintings. But when I was always interested in technology, so I knew how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, and I needed a website when I was I think it was my senior year. I needed a website, so I learned how to do HTML to do it on my own. And I didn't know how to program yet, but I knew how to use tools to create a website and how to design my postcards and my business cards and all that. So I started doing that for all my friends, all my illustration friends. I was doing all the design and learning the tools, the digital, more digital than just painting. And after that, when I got into the world, the um, illustration world, it was really hard to create an illustration for a magazine, painting it because the time they give you is so short that I needed to use Photoshop. So I started using more digital techniques than the traditional ones I was using before. So that got me into more of the digital side of the illustration. And many years after that, that's when that's probably I started to work in illustration around 2006 when I graduated, and for like almost 10 years I was illustrating. And after that, I I think it was after COVID hit, and I had time to research this thing. There was NFTs, right? Because I knew about NFTs a couple of years before, but I didn't have the time to research. And I started thinking, what am I gonna do as my first NFT? And I thought of getting my old things, my old illustrations, and minting them. But it didn't feel like I should do that. No, I always try to make the best. Like I always try to make it fun for me, and getting old things and using that. It wasn't. I don't think it fit right to that idea of something that is technological. No, it's like something like it's technology and art together, right? So I started researching when I was in vacation, and I found that this website. It was called ArtBlocks. I have no idea what it was, and I started looking at the art, and I was like, "What is this? What is this guy doing, making thousands of images?" So instead of like closing the website, I just kept reading about it and trying to understand what they were doing, and that's when I realized they were using code, and I had no idea. Like I knew a little bit of code, of course I worked in art, but I never thought of mixing those things together, and that just blew my mind completely. So that moment I just I knew I needed to learn how to do that, and I bought all the books and went all the websites I could to learn how to do how to code to make images to make images.
That's so interesting. And
Yeah,
then, how much time did it take for you to kind of that, landing on that idea of like, wow, this is really what I want to explore, and then
yeah,
actually your first release, which I believe was Forecast, right, with
yeah. It
ArtBlocks.
was.
So
Yeah,
so
forecast.
yeah, take us through that journey.
Actually, I was when I submitted the project for to ArtBlocks, I thought I was not going to get selected at all because I was it's not it was probably not even a year when I started coding, and I had the project pretty much done less than a year when I submitted
Wow.
it, and and I thought I'm gonna send it. Let's see what happens, and it did get chosen. So that was amazing for me. Like my first full project, it was a release where exactly where I wanted. No, I sent it. I discovered generative art through ArtBlocks, and it got released on ArtBlocks. So it was perfect. It was
Oh, that
awesome.
must have been a dream.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Uh, So that was in, I believe, 2023. And
Yeah.
I remember that release. When I remember the day that was released actually, because I was at a conference, and I remember I was just looking at my phone. I'm like, wow, like who's this, like new artist? I've never heard of this guy. And yeah, I thought it was a quite a interesting project, and I really liked it aesthetically. I think I can see a Forecast print, like a large print
Yeah,
behind you
yeah,
right
it's
now.
right, and yeah.
That looks amazing.
Thanks.
So what was some of the inspiration then behind Forecast? Kind of like, I want to hear a little bit about your
Hmm.
the ideation, and kind of like what really led you to kind of develop this kind of
Yeah.
uh you know um like just the focus, I guess, of the project.
Mhm. When I was an illustrator, the an illustration concept is the most important thing from an illustration, right? Magazines send me articles. I read the article and I need to extract the idea. The idea to illustrate. That's why magazines use photography for some articles, but some articles are really abstract, and you can't use an image like a picture. No? So they use illustrators. So that's I think that is why I try to bring concept to every project I do. And for the first project that I wanted to submit, I wanted to make it really personal. So I live in the northern part of Spain. I live in Galicia, like right above Portugal, and on the northwest. And here it rains a lot. So it's 50% of the year is raining. So I thought that was and we have a connection to rain, right? All Spain knows here in Galicia rains a lot. So I was researching what is my project going to be and I was walking through the street and it was raining and I saw the drops on the floor and I was like, oh, I think it has to be about rain. So I started sketching and getting all the ideas and when I started coding a little bit because I had other ideas and other projects, but this one when I started coding and making the visuals, I thought, oh, okay, I need to focus on this one because this is exactly what I wanted.
That's awesome. And I,
Uh,
I like the title as well of the collection, like Forecast, because obviously it relates directly to what you're describing, which is like, the
hmm.
weather, and the link to
It's
rain, but also.
also I didn't want the title changed during the process because at the beginning it was called what do you call the ripples? It was called ripples
Okay.
because I was focusing on the ripple effect on the water. But in the middle of the project, I thought, what if instead of using just a randomness to select where it's going to rain, I could use a weather forecast. So I could program a weather forecast and with barometric pressure and humidity to determine where on the image is gonna rain. So that idea, I was like, oh my god, I need to focus. The title needs to give that information, no, instead of just ripples. No, this is the most important part of the piece. I think that it's like a first circle, no, it's about rain. Weather forecast is giving me the composition, and the image is rain falling. No, so everything worked pretty good.
I love it. I love it. It's so interesting to hear you kind of describe it. So then you released this collection. Obviously, there was I'm assuming you received a lot of good feedback. From what I could see, there was a lot of interest in the project, and it seems like that might have been where a lot of people then had the opportunity to learn about you, like kind of like as an artist.
Mhm.
Um, I think the next release that you had was called Infinite Tide. Correct me if I'm wrong
Yeah,
here.
those two projects I have next were not NFTs. Were not minted. Were for a private show. I mean a gallery show I had in here in my city. So they a curator selected me to because they saw this generative art, and they had no idea what it was, and because it was dedicated to Galicia. I was on TV. They interviewed me on TV. I've never been on TV, and and on the newspaper. So a lot of people knew I was doing uh, this crazy digital art, right? And so someone wanted to do a solo show for me, and they wanted to show forecast here in Galicia. But the gallery had three walls. I didn't want to show only forecast because it's been already a year after that, I think, after it was released. So I thought, if this is going to be the first time people are going to see generative art in person, I want to show more more versions of generative art, right? So we had this immaterial art that is forecast. No, it's an NFT. This has nothing. It's in its code in a blockchain. So the other two walls, one was for Infinite Tide, the one you mentioned. Infinite Tide is like a little tiny computer with a 4-inch screen that is connected to the tide, the data, so it knows when the tide is up or down, and it creates like a map of little lines, no, like a flow field of
Okay.
lines, and it's animated. And those were three computers on a wall, and the other wall where was printed. Well, it's right. This one is Toxo,
Okay.
and so we had on the show that this one was it's for it's a little in Galicia we have it's something called Toxo. It's like a little flower. It's a yellow flower that grows all over the place. So it's like everybody will relate to it. They know what it is, right? At Toxo when they come to the show. So we have the C that is a digital, but it's an object. It's a computer. We had the NFT that is immaterial, and then we had the printed, no material, a piece. So we had three completely different generative art pieces.
Wow.
So
And so you were
that was the show. Yeah.
yeah. So and what was that experience like? Was this your first show that you've
It
actually?
was I had a lot of group shows in my life with
Uh,
illustration and drawing and all that, but it was my first solo show, and it was great. A lot of so many people came. It was really like they had so many questions. I spent like 2 hours talking and explaining all the art I was doing, how it was made, and how the machines were connected to the tides and the NFT that nobody understood how it could be immaterial, right? So
Right.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And it kind of it has that like I see a link there too between yeah like forecast and then the infinite tide here as like very much so about the relationship that you have
Yeah,
with
it is
your environment
nature, right? Everything
and
that is
nature.
around me, right? Like I live on the coast, so infinite tide is about the ocean. Forecast is about rain because it rains a lot here around me, and Toxo is the flower that grows around where I live. So all the three pieces were uh, about me and about my surroundings, right?
And another project, I think this is your subsequent project called uh Toxo. I think that's how you
Toxo,
pronounce it.
that's this one.
Tosho?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Toxo. It's in
got it.
Galician. Like in Galicia, we speak a different language. And we don't speak Spanish. We speak Spanish, but we also speak Galician. That's another connection to forecast. Forecast here we have, when they say the Inuit have 100 words for snow.
Yeah, sure.
Now, but here we have 100 words for rain because it rains so much, and our
Okay.
our language has exactly like around 80 something words for rain. So it's
Wow.
pretty funny.
Yeah, that is. Wow. So after these two, kind of projects that you worked on, I think after that, then that's when you worked on this algorithm called for broken dreams, and I think
Yeah,
this is last year in Marfa. I remember seeing that you had some prints and some stickers and things like that
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
collection. It was
That was
yeah. So maybe speak about that.
Yeah, that was with I did that because the Generative Art Museum in Barcelona, they contacted me, and they have like a show every year. It's called Responsive Dreams. Forgot the name. Responsive Dreams. They make this show every year, and they select like 6 or 7 generative artists, and they contact me to create a piece.
Wow.
Uh, I'm always thinking like the three pieces I just talked about are things around me, right? That relate to me. And when they contacted me to create a piece with the theme Responsive Dreams, all I could see on TV was war. No, like we see
Mm,
war again this year, but when they contacted me, it was a war all the time. So all I can think was people with broken dreams, right? So that's why that's the title I chose, and that's the theme uh, of the piece. So it recreates this dream. It's like made out of triangles, no, the geometric triangles,
yeah.
and it moves, no, it moves and it kind of breaks, no. You see pieces floating around. It's like this shattered dream. It's also connected to the blockchain and evolves through time. No, every 1,000 blocks, I think it was, it adds a new coordinate to the triangle, so it's evolving constantly.
It's so interesting because I'm looking at all your collections right now on your website,
Uh-huh.
and with Broken Dreams, it seems to me like I can see some similarities with your previous work a bit. Like I can see, especially with maybe some of the colors,
Uh-huh.
but especially with Tosho. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Tosho.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it definitely looks like um, it's very it looks like you took this algorithm in a different direction. Like it to me, it looks like it's something it's fairly distinct. And I'm not sure what your thoughts are
Yeah,
on that
I
observation.
changed a little bit. Like from forecast was meant to be printed.
Mm,
So the format in the image is static, right? But I remember showing it to a collector, and and they wanted to display it, right? They thought generative art is digital, so I need a TV, right? I need a TV to display it. And when I showed them, I explained to him that the piece is not doesn't move, that it's just static, and you need to print it. They didn't understand, so I was like, okay, maybe, maybe generative or the art I want to make doesn't have to be static all the time, right? It could be moving because we have a computer, we have a screen. I can take advantage of that too. So my ideas that I used to work for print, right, for magazines, and everything was static. But now I have this opportunity to create something that moves. That's why I started moving things a little bit. No, with the tide, the infinite tide, the tide moves slightly, and that's why since then all my work moves. All my work not only moves, but it adapts to the ratio of any screen live, right? And this one was the first one I introduced a lot of elements that I'm still using today with my latest project. So the ratio is completely flexible. The pixels I'm adding this blocks of pixels that I'm always drawing on my sketchbook. You know, every project I do, I'm always sketching. Like I have in my sketchbook with me all the time, and I'm processing all the ideas and what I like, what I don't like before drawing instead of coding. But I'm always drawing geometric shapes and this blocks of pixels that I always wanted to introduce. I wanted to introduce them in Forecast, but they didn't work. I wanted to introduce them in Toxo also, but it didn't feel natural. And it's the first time I got to place those blocks, those low resolution was in Broken Dreams. So I was really happy with. It's just something so simple, you know. It's like, oh, I made the pixels work, but I was so happy. I was so happy at it.
That's awesome. I love that. And then for your next project, like we got to talk about it, right? Elephant in the room right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like this with your most recent release, Gift of Time, it seems like there are some linkages to Broken Dreams here, but obviously it's become its own beast of a collection. And so I really want to hear about this project, and because it was obviously so well received by the community, but in addition to that, this is a collection that you've worked on for quite some time, and it links back to your ArtBlocks residency that
Yeah.
you had the opportunity to
Yeah.
have in Marfa, Texas. So
Yeah.
really take us back from the beginning of like the selection process, like, you know, what was that like, and your experience, and then the inspiration for this project, and just bring us up to speed.
Yeah. Wow. I don't remember when I submitted. I remember ArtBlocks posting that they were gonna start a residency. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, God, I have to go. I need to go. But again, just like Forecast, I didn't think I was gonna get selected at all. So I just submitted, and I think it was probably 9 months or 10 months after they didn't announce anything.
Mhm.
They announced that they were gonna do a residency, but that was it. Nobody was talking about it. So I wrote Sarah. Sarah was working still, and I asked her. It was like, what's going on with the residency? I haven't seen announcements or like, oh, next week. Next week we're announcing the first artist. Like, oh, great. I'm still waiting. I submitted, but it's like, oh, we know. Like, okay, okay. And a week after, she messaged me. It's like, okay, today we're gonna announce Jiwa is gonna be the first artist, and you're next if you want.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, okay. I was shocked. I was like, I'm so happy, but at the same time, it's a month in the desert. So I need to plan. So I need to talk to my wife, of course, and plan that she's going to be alone for a month with our daughter and with work, and we have a design studio together. And yeah, so I always wanted to go to Marfa. You've been to Marfa.
Right.
And I thought this is a perfect opportunity, right? And I didn't really want to think about a project before going to Marfa. I wanted to be inspired there. Of course, it's hard because whenever they told me the news, my brain started thinking of things I could do, right? Projects because I only have 4 weeks, right? You have 4 weeks there to work, and then the last day you have a show. It's like what can I do that could be done in 4 weeks? Probably nothing because I'm really slow coding, right? So I went with an open mind. So it took me, it takes a lot, especially from Spain. It took me 39 hours to get to Marfa, and when I was there, for the people that never went to Marfa, it's a little small town in the middle of the West Texas, and it says that it's 1,500 people. I think it says the sign. But when I was
Around
there,
that.
summer. It was summer. It was really hot, and I think it was only 5 people. To tell you the truth, like 5 or 6. Um, and ArtBlocks has a gallery in Marfa, and in the backyard there's a little building that has 2 floors, and I used the bottom floor as a studio, and I was living in the top floor with had a bedroom and all that. So I got there. It was it was really hot that summer. I'm not used to heat like that. Like I live in a pretty cool place,
Okay.
and I had 4 weeks, and I just started exploring Marfa. When I was there for the first week, DCA, Daniel was there. He was giving classes to kids in Marfa, so it was great because he showed me around. We had 2 bikes, and we were going around Marfa, going to shows, going to eat, going to dinner. It was awesome. And after that, I was completely alone. The people were working at the gallery, but I was pretty much alone working in the studio for the 4 weeks. And that's when I started sketching, taking my sketchbook all over the place, trying to think what was the idea, what could um, Marfa inspire me, right? And I thought it was going to be the desert. I thought it was going to be the landscape, the colors. But after 3 days, I started noticing that time completely started slowing down. It was amazing because here at home, I'm used to like waking up really early, taking my daughter to school, starting to work, and I have a meeting, etc. And everything goes really fast. But there, all I had to do was make art and think about art, right? So yeah, I felt time completely slow down. So I thought, okay, maybe it's not my surrounding like what I did with forecast, right? Is the rain. Toxo is plants, flowers. Maybe this one is the feeling, no, a feeling that I'm getting here in this place. And of course, not only the time was slowing down because it was also that ArtBlocks OpenSea gifted me a month in the desert, and especially my wife. My wife gifted me a month alone to work in what I love, to work in art. So I decided to make work on that idea as a thank you, also, right? That's why it's called the gift of time, because they all gifted me, especially my wife gifted me 1 month in the desert to work. And I started sketching. I showed it on my Instagram on X a lot of sketches. That's what I do. I sketch for maybe a full week. I was only sketching, no coding at all, and trying to figure out what elements do I need, what elements work, what elements I can try to see if I like them or not. I work all that on sketches before uh, started coding, and it went from idea to finish pretty slowly because I never did something so complex. It was really complex to bring this to life, right? And after the 4 weeks, my family came. We had a show right at the last day. My family came to see the show and to support me, and and the project wasn't done yet. So I kept working until long hours at night, and I was able I was able to have it was not completely done, but the geometry and the animation was working already, right? It looks nothing like Gift of Time today. If you go back to my I made a video of my show in Marfa. If you review that again, completely different, right? The textures are different, colors are different, and now it's a lot more complex, right? And the residency was over, and I had to go back home. And then is when the work started, because
Yeah.
I had this project that I needed to finish to release it, but I realized that I'm only gonna get one chance to make my residency piece, right? And so I needed to work really hard to be proud of the piece, to make it be exactly what I wanted, because I had so many sketches, so many pages of all the ideas I had. So I decided that I wanted to incorporate every single idea that I had on the sketchbook. I wanted to or at least try to incorporate it in the final piece. And that's what I've been doing for the next 9 months after after the residency. So it's a long time.
Unreal. Unreal, man. In like 4 weeks, let's say, like you're doing like to do a residency is like that's such a compressed amount of time to go from, like coming up with an idea worth focusing on.
Mhm.
And I mean, you probably have multiple ideas that come to mind,
Yeah,
right? And it's like
yeah,
sifting through
definitely.
and figuring out, okay,
I had like 5 ideas.
yeah,
Then you keep reducing and reducing the amount until one is like just you concentrate on one that it just it feels now it feels the right one.
yeah, that's insane. Well, man, I gotta just say, like, congratulations, like on everything,
That,
and this project, this is a quite a complex project. I can
and
only imagine.
the amount of
Yeah,
things I put into it, like I couldn't believe like every idea, like the pixel hands, the floating pixels that go around, the texture, so many things. But it does. I thought it was going to be chaotic, right? Because there's so many elements. But the animation just makes it like really calm, and I just kept looking at it like for like 20, 30 minutes, and it brings calm, even though it's full of elements, full of pixels and animate and geometry. I'm in love with the piece. I have to say,
oh,
yeah, love it. I
for
love it.
sure. And it kind of it has like this like kind of visual aesthetic of like almost like a mechanical like watch or something
Yeah.
like that a little bit. So um and can you kind of talk a little bit of about how you kind of how you program this and its relationship to time, let's say, like, because I know that
Yeah,
there's some sort of linkages here
yeah,
with
yeah,
blockchain. So maybe speak
yeah.
about that a little bit.
When I knew the concept was about time, I started thinking, well, okay, um, how do we measure time, right? And through history, humans measure time in many different ways. We used the moon phases, the seasons, the stars, different calendars for different cultures, and of course watches. So there's a website called Hodinky that it's watch collectors, interviews with watch collectors. So
Oh,
when I was sketching and working, I was listening to watch collectors talk about their watches and how they love all the mechanical pieces, and so that was the background when I was sketching. So of course, that influenced, the way the machine works, right? That's how every it looks like looking inside, no, a mechanical watch, a fictional one, but
yeah.
and I started um, sketching ideas. How can I connect all these ways of measuring time inside this piece? Because this is going to be about time, so it's like my homage to time, right? So every element on the piece gets influenced by a different calendar or a different way we use to measure time. For example, the colored circles that are around the center, those colors act like a pupil. Pupil expands and contracts through with light, right? This circles expand and contract with the moon phases. So when the moon is, we have a full moon, or we have, those circles are expanding, and you see all the colors inside, because the three layers of colors on those circles. You see the three, or you see just one expanded, right? Right now, if you see the moon calendar, if you see it expanded because it's full moon or it's a new moon, you see you will see smaller circles inside those circles. Then those circles are also affected by the Chinese calendar. Chinese calendar, when you reach, the closer you are to the Chinese New Year, those circles are going to be a lot bigger, and the farther away you are, they're going to reduce in size. Uh, what else? Just so many things. um, oh yeah. The rubber bands that connect a few of the circles, um, around every 10 seconds, they pull back, and that has this animation that pulls those
Yeah.
those rubber bands back.
Yeah.
That animation, the closer we are to our New Year's, right, to New Year's Eve, that animation takes longer to happen. So
Hmm.
the rubber bands get stretched and stretched more, the closer we are to New Year's. And little details, things that you see pixels on the screen, uh, a few geometry with different colors.
Yep.
Those every week and every hour, one of those gets deleted and a new one comes up. Um,
Hmm.
so everything is
Interesting.
slightly connected to time, and there's always something happening. If it's maybe every minute, every hour, you keep expanding. Every 10 years, every 20 years, something is going to slightly change.
I love it. It's amazing. And what about the color palettes? Like, I'm just kind of curious about some of these colors. Was there, are there, or like, are any of the colors like kind of inspired from your experience in Marfa at all, or is it kind of just like a kind of like a fresh kind of like palette that you've just kind of like
Yeah,
selected.
it was completely like I in my previous project, the Broken Dreams, I used a lot of color palettes I used in Forecast and other previous projects because the palettes in that project worked amazing. Like everything I put in that project, every color, it just worked. I don't know what I did. Like all the glasses and the crystals that merged the colors, and they work really good. And I tried that same technique on this one. Nothing worked. It was horrible.
Mm.
I I really hated the colors. So I went back from scratch and started new palettes and trying to just make one first, right? And the first one I did was actually the one that I was using just to test the algorithm when I was in Marfa. It's called the Casita palette. Is the Casita is where my studio, where I lived there in Marfa. That's the palette I used just to test the algorithm. And I wasn't thinking about the colors. I wasn't thinking about anything, just different colors that I could identify things. And after, of course, 4 weeks working with that color palette, it just it kind of worked, and I tweaked the textures and the tones and some of the elements, but it worked great. So I based the rest of the palettes on that palette, and I started creating more palettes from that one, making it more complex and more with more tones and more textures.
That's so
And
interesting.
yeah, and the one that I like the most is the Chihuahua palette. The Chihuahua is the one that is based on my experience in the landscape of Marfa, you know, um, and the West. Those two. I couldn't decide which one at first I was going to use just one, but I thought the two had a um, distinct personality, so I kept both West and Chihuahua.
It's interesting because those are the two also most common color
Yeah,
palettes. It looks like,
yeah.
as well as sun fade, and then casita
Casita.
is close after as well. Um, but that's so interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking through the collection right now and just
I'm
yeah, it's
so
just
happy how it turned out. Like you're always nervous, right? How it's gonna be? How was the collection? No,
yeah
365. Also, the number, no, like ties into
yeah
that the time, no, the calendar, the time.
of course.
But yeah, really happy. We were happy how it turned out.
And what has it been like? Like the reception that this collection has received, and
Yeah,
your
crazy.
experience engaging with the community, broadly speaking,
Uh-huh.
whether it's collectors or other artists or just
Uh-huh.
whoever. Like, what has that been
Yeah,
like?
like I never had this much attention, really, and like Mente, right? The day it was going to be released, I was like, people were asking me, family, friends were asking me, "Oh, we want to buy one." We're like, "Okay, don't worry, you're gonna have a lot of time, right?
Oh no.
You just wait until next week, and I'll explain you how to do it and all that." Of course, I had no idea it was gonna happen, and my wife was a little bit more nervous than I was. So we connected the computer. We were there, and we wanted to mint something, and uh, and suddenly the website is not working. It was like,
Oh yeah.
oh, this is going really slow. I don't know what's going on. And suddenly I get to mint a few, and I see the tokens come into my wallet, and I see it's token 200 something. I was like, wait, what's going on? And suddenly I see it's sold out, and it's not even 2 minutes after the release
Crazy.
date. I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. Completely unexpected. And my wife didn't get to mint.
Oh.
She was mad. She was pissed.
Oh man.
But but I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it, really. it was great. It was a great 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But and then afterwards, I mean, like I mean, it's still. It's been what, a week? Has it been a week at this point? It's been
It's a
something
little
like
bit
that.
over a week because last Thursday. Yeah.
And I'm still seeing, lots of people that are still, talking about it and sharing their pieces, or, it's very much so still a very much so present, like there's a heavy presence online with this collection and your
That's
work,
amazing.
and it seems like a lot of people are also, re-examining some of your previous works as well. So it seems like
Yeah,
there's
true.
a lot of
Yeah.
focus on you right now as an artist.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for this attention really, but it was worth it. Just like I mentioned online before, for all the messages, all the emails, DMs, they people I admire, artists, collectors, past collectors from Forecast and other pieces. Everybody was uh, so happy, and they loved the piece, the release so much. I was just happy with that. I didn't have to sell in so little amount of time, right? And have this repercussion. But I just want to say thank you to everybody.
That's amazing, man. Um, how is this experience kind of shaping, kind of like where you see, kind of like next steps, or like your future directions? Like, how is there any insights that you've had either from during the residency or over the last 9 months of putting together this collection, or after its release, that you feel like is you're being pulled in a certain direction, or are you still at this point just like decompressing and trying to take
Yeah,
everything
I
in?
think a
Like,
little bit decompressing. Really, I tried to disconnect because after that day, my phone, I couldn't sleep because I was looking at all the messages people were sending me. The adrenaline was really like really high, but I already had other projects planned for the year. I already had I was in talks with different people to do projects this year and next year. So what changed really, I think, is I'm gonna have more eyes on those projects. So I'm probably gonna work more on the projects. um, I think that's pretty much it because I always took I'm always really patient. I'm not in a rush to make more projects fast. I'm always trying to work and make the best work um, I can make and be proud of the pieces that I do. So I am working on more, and hopefully this year I will release something. And but it has to be the perfect time and when the project is completely done.
got it. Um, so for, I guess, for folks that are attending Marfa later this year, I'm not too sure if it's going to be before or after, if there's going to be anything
Oh,
happening,
uh,
but
could be. I mean, around that time, I'll say. Yeah,
okay, okay.
that, that's a good time.
Um,
October,
yeah, yeah.
November.
It'll
Yeah.
it'll 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 be here sooner than we realize, I think. But are you hoping to make it to Marfa this year?
Look, I love Marfa.
Uh,
You saw Marfa. I saw two completely different Marfas, right? The
oh
one when
yeah,
I was in the residency when nobody's there,
yeah.
and I wanted to see what Marfa was during the ArtBlocks weekend, and it was amazing. I loved it so much. I want to go every year. Hopefully I can go this year. Yeah.
Cool, man. That's great. Yeah, well, I'll definitely be there. So I look forward to reconnecting with you out there in person. So last year was your first time, yeah, in Marfa. I feel like once you go, like, and you experience the magic, it's just
I
like,
always wanted to know what is this, what are people doing there that they go every year?
yeah,
Because it's so far away. I didn't understand, and now I do. Now I want to go back.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. Well, hopefully see you there for sure. You know what during Marfa, like kind of the ArtBlocks weekend, what are some of the kind of like key experiences and things that you feel like have been so valuable to you that now you're like, okay, I want to make
Yeah,
it every year
want to
from
go
now
every
on?
year.
Because there's some people I'm sure that are listening that they've never had the chance to, come to Marfa.
Yeah.
And, as there's a wide range of people that go that are a part of this community, artists, collectors, and, you know, all sorts of personalities that make their way there with their own reasons. But for you, like, what are some of those key
Well,
experiences that you've
I think for me at least, nobody really understands generative art around my family, my friends, right? I'm always talking about it online with people online. Um, I never get to see people in person and talk about it, or people I know online. Suddenly, when you go to Marfa, they have a face, and you're with them, and they have the same interest. It's like this little town gets filled with people that are like-minded. No, they love the same thing you love, and that's really special. It's not like any other event. You can go to NFT events, but those events, there's a lot of different people, right? They're interested in a lot of different things. When you go to Marfa, it's only just one thing, it's generative art, and that's it. And everybody's so nice, right? And it's great. It's great. I love it. I love it.
definitely. I wish it was longer. I wish Marfa weekend was like
Yeah.
Marfa week or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a good experience. So what are your thoughts of kind of like the space overall, like the generative art, digital art, blockchain art, kind of that this whole space, this ecosystem.
Mhm.
What is your kind of experience? What has your experience been? What are your thoughts and thinking about it kind of in the future as well? Like,
Mhm. Um, I don't know. I thought that the market was going like there was no market, right? Not a lot of people are selling their collections. I think the eyes are somewhere else. The collectors are not here. People say, right? Um, but th- we are advancing in other areas, right? The 0 0 10, no, in the Art Basel fairs. That is amazing. And when I see it, it's like it seems like it's the most fun of that fair. Like right concentrated in that little thing with a few galleries, right? Probably because it's more interactive. It's more pieces are animated, or you can interact with them instead of just looking at them. But I love to see that. And it doesn't have to be an NFT to be generative art. It doesn't have to be an NFT to be digital art. And in the traditional world, there is galleries, there's museums that have technology mixed with art. And and I think we should explore more than that. That we can do. We can have more ideas than just a long form piece, right? Um, Technology is really vast, and I'm experimenting with a lot of different things, right? Uh, of course, long form generative art has a little is a little small niche, right? And not a lot of people understand it, and I'm sure they will understand it in the future. But there's so many other things that art and technology can do that I feel like I want to explore more things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's been awesome to speak with you and to just kind of hear your perspective, your journey in the space, like just the background on all of these different projects that you've put out. And I think the community is, looking at you and just wondering what you got cooking next. So, but we'll have to stay patient, it sounds like. But,
Good.
is there any other kind of like topics or anything that you want to touch on that comes to
I
mind?
just I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody that send me messages from they discovered my work with a gift of time, and they discover my past work also, and just thank you. It's amazing.
That's amazing. So if anybody wants to kind of like learn more about your work or reach out to you, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, you can go to my website, and from my website you can reach my social media. No, I'm Lariño, Manuel Lariño, and on X, on Instagram, and I'm there.
That's awesome. I'll include links below in the description. Man, it's great to talk with you, great to see you, and wishing you all the best, and congratulations again on everything.
Thank you so much. Hope I'll see you in Marfa.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and give me a follow on Twitter at longformart. As mentioned, none of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment and information purposes only. More information can be found in the podcast episode description. And thanks so much for listening in. I'll be back soon with another episode.